Greetings to you, Crocoduck Army. So, I had this little discussion, actually a couple different discussions, with some of my conservative friends on Facebook and on Twitter. One of my conservative friends was giving me this talking point, I guess you would call it, about Rasmussen being the most accurate pollsters. And I kind of doubted that. And I checked it out, and sure enough, this claim came from partly a 2008 story or some study that had been done the day after the election in 2008, saying that Rasmussen was the most accurate polling firm in terms of the total percentage difference between Obama and McCain in 2008. But the problem is, the actual difference was 6%. It was like 6.2 or something like that. But the real actual difference was 7.3, and the difference actually didn't come out until a little bit after the day after the election, that the actual percentages changed a little bit. And the study was redone, and it was found that Rasmussen was actually the ninth most accurate polling firm, not the first. And I pointed this out. I did all this research, and I pointed it out to him over and over again. I said, hey, this is where the research is. This is actually what the actual margin of error was, or the margin difference between the real election and what Rasmussen said it was. And he finally, when I showed him that, he just stopped talking about it. So I don't know if he actually believes me, or if he's actually going to be then using these numbers forever, even now knowing that they're wrong. And then, like a couple weeks later, I'm having a Twitter discussion with somebody that I talk to on Twitter all the time, one of my conservative friends, and so he gave me the exact same talking point, and I gave him the same information. And he keeps just apparently didn't read it, or he just kept coming at me with the same assertion, and I was like, no, the numbers were actually wrong. This same person redid the study. And, I'd be the first to admit and the first to say, well, a point difference is really not that big a deal. But this goes to the thinking of some people, and specifically a lot of the conservatives I know. It's this echo chamber where they're like, well, they're convinced that this fact is right, that Rasmussen reports they're the best polling firm, and 2008 was somehow proof of that, no matter how many times I show them that that's not actually the case. Oh, and by the way, his Twitter handle is jcuffs. It's linked below. Feel free to tell him to stop making up statistics. Joe Biden in the vice presidential debate totally knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. He did exactly what he needed to do, and even though, yes, he could have stood to interrupt a little bit less or whatever, all these people whining about him interrupting don't seem to understand the whole debate game. I hear all these conservatives telling me, all these Republicans telling me, oh, he was so uncouth and blah, 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 and nobody really cares. So Obama was perfectly calm, made his points pretty decently, but not very forcefully, whereas Romney made his points forcefully and with lots of conviction, and he was seen as having blown away Obama in the debate. So, you know what? That's just a recipe for us losing, being extremely polite. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're just giving advice so that we'll lose. It's total crap. There was one part of the debate, too, where Paul Ryan's talking about abortion, and he's like, oh, yes, I respect other people's opinions on this matter. And then literally seconds later, he talks about how their administration would actually do everything they can to eliminate abortion. So I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, so you respect other people's right to choose, yet you are going to do everything in your power to make sure that they don't have the right to choose. I mean, if that's respect, what does disrespect look like? And on Monday, I am going to exciting and exotic Panama. That should be interesting. I've never been to Central America before. I've never been to any country, actually, with quite as many travel warnings, but it should be interesting anyway, and assuming I survive, I will tell you about it when I get back. So, I'm going to Panama for work, and all I know about Panama really is that there's the Panama Canal, and I looked up a couple other attractions, but there's not a heck of a lot that seems that exciting, but there's a lot of like little cultural things and museums and stuff like that. And maybe I'll do some of that, I don't know. And my hosts there when I'm in Panama may show me around a bit, but it should be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't speak Spanish, but well, maybe I'll speak German. I'll throw them off a little bit now. Now I'm pretty sure that wouldn't actually do me any good at all. But yeah, and I noticed that on my YouTube stats that I do actually have there are two Crocoduck Army from Panama. So I think that means I am huge in Panama. So yeah, if you're in Panama, definitely let me know and we should be able to get together sometime next week. However, if you kidnap me, I'm not gonna be happy.